Hello! So, let's continue our look at industrialization in the 19th century, more specifically looking at energy. And our learning objectives is to understand the role the development of energy or fuel source technologies had on industrialization and to analyze the impacts of those developments. Energy! One of the defining characteristics of industrialization in the 19th century is this idea of applying mechanical power to make goods on an extremely large scale. And that's where the energy comes in. Basically, new power sources had to be developed in order to fuel the new machines. If we look at the course of human history, our source of energy began with us, our bodies, right? Human energy to do things. Then we started exploiting plant energy and the energy of animals who eat plants, like say using cows or rather horses to help us plow fields. And then by the time we're getting to our time period we're talking about, people had started using water-based or wind-based technology, like using water mills to grind flour or windmills to drain swamps. And then with the Industrial Revolution, this is the big explosion in available energy in terms of once we start using fossil fuels. So what we say is part of the Industrial Revolution was actually a fossil fuel revolution. And what happened in order to fuel this fossil fuel revolution, and it required the shifting from using coal, mostly domestically. At the time of the Industrial Revolution, coal was regularly used. It's something that people had known from ancient times. However, it was largely used to heat homes. People would burn it to heat homes. They would use it to heat food or in breweries and things like that. Therefore, we can say that it was the development of the ability to exploit the energy in fossil fuels in the form of the steam engine that was the most fundamental advance in technology at this time. Basically, what we're saying is you have this amazing fuel source that is there, and once we are able to tap into it, then we can do so many other things. And so, for the first time in human history, humans have an almost unlimited amount of energy at their fingertips. This is revolutionary. Before this, people only had their human energy, the power in their own body, say, to work that weaving machine, or the power of one or two animals in order to do work on the farm. And this is going to be amazing. And because of this, you're going to have rapid advances in almost all aspects of the economy. And there is going to be, like this steam engine promotes important breakthroughs in other industries. For example, by using a steam engine, a powerful engine, you can now heat coal hot enough to create coke. And by adding coke to the pig iron, the regular smelted iron, you now have a stronger iron called wrought iron. And with wrought iron, that means you now have the ability to, say, build railroad tracks, right? Pig iron is really brittle. It breaks easily, and you can't form it very well. But with the wrought iron, it's much stronger, so it can handle the heaviness of trains and things like this. And from wrought iron, you get things like steel. And steel is fundamental to almost every industry. It's used for the making of machines. It's used for the making of tools. It's used to make like the products themselves. Steel is used for building structures, for, I don't know, contact lenses. I'm just kidding. The steam engines are used to drain the mines that we get the coal from. So it's almost cyclic, right? Without the steam engines, you can't get the coal that is then used to power the steam engines. You have these steam engines are taking the place of water power in flour mills. It's used in breweries. It's used to make, how do you call it, tableware and like plates and stuff. And it's used to crush sugarcane to make sugar. Pretty much it is this massive, massive change, and it kind of steps through other aspects of the economy. And now that coal becomes the foundation of our entire economy, fueling pretty much everything, it is a limiting factor. I'm not sure if you know this, but coal is kind of heavy. It's a rock, a sedimentary rock, and it's a rock and heavy. So rather than transporting it over huge distances, the industries that depended on coal the most are going to be located closest to the coal fields. If you look at our handy dandy map, you can see where we have the coal fields, and then looking at the squares, you can see where iron ore deposits are. The best thing was to find coal near iron, because it kind of helps you out, you know what I mean? Coal is heavy, iron is heavy. If you can put them together or close to each other, then you can produce the iron and the steel that you need that underpins everything else. And then if you look, cities, the largest cities are going to develop where? Yep, you guessed it. This use of coal as a fossil fuel is amazing, right? Energy, previously a limiting factor to what we could produce, how much work we could do, how much stuff we could make, is now no longer a problem. And the economy grows accordingly. However, this is something people weren't considering, and this is something that we deal with today. The Industrial Revolution is also the beginning of the massive increases of CO2. Coal is the dirtiest of fossil fuels. That is, it produces the most carbon dioxide. And as we know, carbon dioxide is a leading contributor to global climate change, the greenhouse effect that is leading to global climate change. If you look at our handy dandy graph, you can see, for example, from the 1800s onward, how the amount of coal increases. And up until the early 1900s, the total in CO2 emissions was essentially the same as coal consumption. To be. Make sure you watch the next video, which looks at communication and wraps everything up and has the surprise.